In a shocking revelation that has left fans and the media buzzing, Yul Brynner's daughter has finally confirmed what many have long suspected about her father's personal life. For years, rumors and whispers surrounded the iconic actor, but it wasn't until now that the truth has come to light. Join us as we delve into this unexpected twist in the life of one of Hollywood's most enigmatic stars, the making of Yul Brynner. Yul Brynner was born Yuli Borisovich Brynner on July 11, 1920, in Vladivostok, Russia. His background was as unique as the man he would become. He came from a mix of Russian, Mongolian, and Swiss-German heritage, which later played a role in his striking appearance and the mystery surrounding his origins. His father, Boris Brynner, was a mining engineer and came from a family with Mongolian and Buryat roots. His mother, Marusha Dmitrievna Blagovidova, was of Swiss-German descent. Yul's parents had a complicated relationship. When he was still a child, his father abandoned the family, leaving his mother to raise him and his older sister, Vera, alone. Marusha was a strong and determined woman. She took full responsibility for her children's upbringing, ensuring they received a good education and exposure to the arts. Despite the difficulties of being a single mother, she made sure Yul and Vera had the best opportunities possible, even if it meant moving them across different countries. After his father left, Yul's life became one of constant change. His mother wanted a better future for her children, so she moved them to different countries, trying to give them stability despite their financial struggles. Yul spent parts of his childhood in China and France, and these experiences exposed him to different cultures, languages, and ways of life. One of the most important moves was to Harbin, China, which had a large Russian immigrant community. Here, Yul learned Russian, French, and Chinese, skills that would later help him in his acting career. However, their time in China was not permanent, and Marusha eventually decided to move to Paris, France, hoping for better opportunities. In Paris, Yul faced many hardships. The family had little money, and he had to help support them. Despite this, his natural talent for performance started to show. He was drawn to the arts, particularly music and theater. His mother had been an actress and singer, so it's no surprise that he inherited a love for performing. To earn money, Yul played the guitar in a gypsy troupe, performing in cabarets and nightclubs. His time as a musician helped him develop confidence on stage and taught him how to captivate an audience. This early experience of performing in front of people would later serve him well when he transitioned to acting. However, Yul wasn't just interested in music. He was also fascinated by the circus and acrobatics. He trained as a trapeze artist in one of Paris's most famous circuses, the Cirque d'Hiver. This required intense physical training, discipline, and fearlessness. Unfortunately, his dreams of becoming an acrobat were cut short after he suffered a serious injury. This accident forced Yul to rethink his future. He could no longer pursue a career in the circus, but instead of feeling defeated, he looked for a new path. He still had his stage presence, his charisma, and his ability to entertain. It was during this time that he began to take acting more seriously, leading him toward the career that would eventually make him a star. Yul's early life was full of struggles, travel, and reinvention. He was shaped by different cultures, languages, and experiences, all of which made him adaptable and unique. Even before Hollywood, his life had been full of fascinating twists and turns, from struggles to stage. In the 1930s, Yul Brynner and his family moved to Paris, searching for a better life. However, things were far from easy. They struggled financially, and Yul had to take on different jobs to help support his mother and sister. Paris was a city full of art and culture, but for an immigrant teenager with little money, it was also a place of constant hustle and survival. To make ends meet, Yul worked wherever he could. One of his earliest jobs was playing the guitar in cabarets and nightclubs. His time performing in a gypsy troupe allowed him to develop a strong stage presence. He quickly learned how to engage an audience, a skill that would later become one of his greatest strengths as an actor. His deep voice and natural charisma made him stand out even before he ever stepped onto a theater stage. Despite the financial hardships, Yul embraced the cultural richness of Paris. The city's thriving artistic scene exposed him to different forms of performance, and he became fascinated with the world of theater. He realized that while music and the circus were exciting, acting was where his heart truly belonged. But like everything else in his life, breaking into acting would not come easy. Determined to become an actor, Yul began training in French theater. He took small roles, learning the craft and gaining confidence on stage. His striking appearance and ability to command attention made him memorable, even in minor roles. One of his biggest advantages was his fluency in multiple languages. By the time he started acting, he could speak Russian, French, and English fluently. This skill set made him extremely versatile, allowing him to take on a wider range of roles. Many struggling actors at the time were limited by language barriers, but Yul had the ability to adapt quickly. During this time, he also worked as a radio announcer and did voiceover work, which helped refine his deep, commanding voice. His rich tone would later become one of his most recognizable traits, making him perfect for powerful and authoritative characters. Despite his talent, finding steady acting jobs was still difficult. The Parisian theater world was competitive, and many roles went to well-established actors. But Yul was persistent. He knew that his unique look, strong stage presence, and multilingual abilities set him apart. However, as World War II escalated in the late 1930s and early 1940s, life in Europe became increasingly dangerous, especially for immigrants. Paris was no longer the city of opportunity that Yul had once hoped it would be. In 1941, he made a bold decision. He would leave France and move to the United States, determined to make a name for himself in the world of acting. At just 21 years old, Yul arrived in America with big dreams but little money. Like many aspiring actors before him, he found that breaking into the industry was not easy. Hollywood and Broadway were dominated by American-born actors, and as a foreign newcomer, he had to work twice as hard to be taken seriously. During his early years in the U.S., he took on various small jobs to survive. He worked as a radio broadcaster for the Office of War Information, using his fluency in French and Russian to help produce anti-Nazi propaganda during World War II. This job gave him a sense of purpose while also keeping him connected to the performance world. At the same time, Yul continued to audition for acting roles, determined to find his big break. His first major opportunity came when he was cast in a small Broadway production. Though the role wasn't a lead, it gave him valuable stage experience in America and helped him gain recognition among theater professionals. His striking bald look, which would later become his signature, was not yet a defining feature. In fact, early in his career, he still had a full head of hair. But what truly made him stand out was his intensity, presence, and ability to completely command a scene. He was unlike any other actor at the time. A star is born. By the early 1950s, Yul Brynner was still relatively unknown in the theater world. He had performed in small productions, but he hadn't yet found the role that would make him a star. That all changed when he was cast as King Mongkut in the Broadway musical The King and I in 1951. At first, producers were unsure about casting him. He was not a well-known actor, and the role was demanding. But when Yul auditioned, his performance was so powerful and commanding that there was no doubt he was the right choice. His deep voice, intense gaze, and natural authority perfectly fit the character of the strict but charismatic King of Siam. He won the part, and it would become the role that defined his career. To fully embody King Mongkut, Yul made yet another bold decision. He shaved his head. At the time, this was unusual, especially for a leading man, but the look suited the character so well that it became his signature style for the rest of his life. Even off stage, he kept his head shaved, making him one of the most recognizable actors in the world. Beyond his physical transformation, Yul brought a unique energy to the role. His powerful stage presence made audiences completely believe in his portrayal of the king. He combined strength and vulnerability, playing the character as both a strict ruler and a man trying to understand the modern world. His ability to switch between stern authority and playful charm kept audiences engaged throughout the show. Yul also had excellent chemistry with his co-star Gertrude Lawrence, who played Anna Leonowens, the English governess hired to teach the king's children. Their on-stage interactions, filled with tension, humor, and warmth, became one of the highlights of the production. When The King and I opened on Broadway in 1951, it was an instant success. Audiences were captivated by the music, the story, and most of all, Yul Brynner's performance. He was praised by critics for his commanding presence, emotional depth, and distinctive portrayal of the king. The musical ran for over 3 years, with Yul performing in more than 1,200 shows. His dedication to the role earned him a Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Musical, solidifying his status as a Broadway star. Even as his fame grew, Yul remained deeply connected to The King and I. He would return to the role many times throughout his career, performing in multiple revivals and even starring in the 1956 film adaptation, which would win him an Academy Award. His performance in The King and I made him a legend, but Hollywood was calling, and Yul Brynner was about to take on the silver screen in a big way. And with his move to Hollywood, he would become even more unforgettable, conquering Hollywood. After taking Broadway by storm, Yul Brynner made the leap to Hollywood. His first major film role was a familiar one, reprising his performance as King Mongkut in the 1956 movie adaptation of The King and I. His on-screen presence was just as powerful as it had been on stage. The film was a huge success, and his performance won him the Academy Award for Best Actor, solidifying his place as a top Hollywood star. With his newfound fame, Yul was quickly cast in a variety of high-profile films, each showcasing his ability to play strong, authoritative characters. Later, in 1956, he starred as Pharaoh Ramesses II in The Ten Commandments, one of the most epic films of the era. Starring alongside Charlton Heston, he brought a powerful and charismatic energy to the role, making Ramesses both intimidating and memorable. That same year, he also played General Bunin in Anastasia, a more subtle and emotional role opposite Ingrid Bergman. This film proved that he could handle dramatic and romantic performances, not just grand and commanding ones. In 1960, Yul took on another iconic role as Chris Adams, the fearless leader in The Magnificent Seven. This Western classic, based on the Japanese film Seven Samurai, remains one of the most beloved movies of its genre. His performance as the quiet but strong gunslinger cemented his reputation as a Hollywood tough guy. By the mid-1960s, he was a global star, known for his bold performances and unforgettable screen presence. One of Yul Brynner's greatest strengths was his ability to transform into a wide range of characters. He could play powerful rulers, mysterious heroes, and even futuristic villains. His performance in Westworld was especially groundbreaking. Playing a robotic gunslinger in a futuristic amusement park, Yul created a terrifying villain with minimal dialogue but maximum impact. His eerie, emotionless stare and slow mechanical movements influenced many future portrayals of robots in film. What made Yul stand out was his intensity, physicality, and commanding presence. Whether he was playing a king, a cowboy, or a machine, he always held the audience's attention. Yul was known for being extremely serious about his craft. On set, he was demanding and had high expectations for both himself and his co-stars. He insisted on perfecting every detail of his performances, from his movements to his line delivery. While this made him an exceptional actor, it also made him difficult to work with at times. Some actors found him too intense or even controlling, but others respected his dedication and work ethic. Despite his strong personality, Yul's commitment to his roles paid off, and he remained one of Hollywood's most respected leading men for decades. But behind the scenes, his personal life was just as dramatic as his on-screen performances. Love, loss, and legacy. Yul Brynner was known for his commanding presence on screen and stage, but his personal life was just as dramatic. Over the years, he was married 4 times, and each relationship had its highs and lows. His passion and intensity made him a fascinating partner, but they also contributed to the challenges that led to multiple divorces. Yul Brynner's first wife was Virginia Gilmore, an actress known for her work in films and television. The couple married in 1944 when Brynner was still trying to establish himself as an actor. During their marriage, their son, Yul Brynner II, was born. At first, their relationship seemed strong. Both were in the entertainment industry and understood the demands of show business. However, as Brynner's career took off, his dedication to his work put a strain on their marriage. He spent long hours performing, traveling, and building his reputation, leaving little time for family life. By the late 1950s, their relationship had become tense. Virginia struggled with the challenges of being married to a rising star, and in 1960 they divorced after 16 years together. Their son, Yul Brynner II, later became involved in various creative and business pursuits, but he largely stayed out of the public eye. Soon after his divorce, Yul married Doris Kleiner, a Chilean model. Their relationship moved quickly, and in 1962 they had a daughter, Victoria Brynner. Doris was supportive of Yul's career, but his relentless work schedule continued to be an issue. He was often away filming movies, performing on stage, or working on various projects. Despite their love for each other, this caused tension, and in 1967, they divorced after 7 years of marriage. Victoria Brynner, their daughter, grew up to become one of the strongest voices preserving her father's legacy. She has spoken openly about his life and career, ensuring that his contributions to film and theater are remembered. In 1971, Yul married Jacqueline Thion de la Chaume, a French socialite. This marriage provided Brynner with a period of stability, as he spent more time in France enjoying a quieter life. During their marriage, the couple adopted 2 Vietnamese children, Mia and Melody. Brynner was deeply involved in their lives and was passionate about providing them with a loving home. His decision to adopt reflected his caring nature, even though his demanding career still kept him away for long periods. However, by the early 1980s, his personal and professional demands once again created distance in the relationship. In 1981, Brynner and Jacqueline divorced, ending what had been his longest-lasting marriage at the time. Yul's final marriage was to Kathy Lee, a dancer from Malaysia, in 1983. By this point, Brynner was in his 60s and had already lived an extraordinary life. Kathy was much younger than him, and their relationship was one of companionship and support. Although Yul Brynner was often away due to his career, he took fatherhood seriously. His children remember him as a loving but disciplined parent who wanted them to succeed and be independent. Born during his marriage to Virginia Gilmore, his son mostly stayed out of the spotlight. Unlike his father, he did not pursue an acting career but remained involved in the arts and creative industries in different ways. As the daughter of Yul and Doris Kleiner, Victoria Brynner has played an important role in keeping her father's legacy alive. She has shared insights into his life, career, and personality, helping fans and historians better understand the man behind the famous performances. Yul and Jacqueline Thion de la Chaume adopted 2 Vietnamese children, Mia and Melody, during the 1970s. This was during the period when the Vietnam War had left many children orphaned, and Brynner felt a strong desire to give them a loving home and a better future. Though he had a busy career, he wanted to be there for his children as much as possible. He made efforts to spend time with them at his estate in France, away from the pressures of Hollywood. Hidden truths revealed. While he was famous for his many relationships with women, Brynner was also rumored to have had romantic relationships with men. This was something he kept private, as Hollywood during his time was not accepting of anything outside of traditional masculinity. In an era when being openly could have damaged a career, Brynner carefully controlled his public image, never allowing his private life to interfere with his success. One of the most talked about relationships was his alleged affair with actor Herb Hatfield, best known for playing the title role in The Picture of Dorian Gray. Hatfield, like Brynner, was a talented and striking presence in Hollywood. Though neither man ever spoke publicly about their connection, rumors of their close relationship circulated in private circles. Brynner was also rumored to have had relationships with several other men in the entertainment industry. These relationships were never acknowledged publicly, as the risk of exposure was too high. At the time, being known as could have led to scandal, lost film roles, and even being blacklisted. Brynner rose to fame during a period when Hollywood demanded that its leading men fit a very specific image: strong, dominant, and unquestionably hetero. Any deviation from this could lead to career destruction. Many actors and entertainers of his time had to hide or suppress their true identities, living double lives to maintain their public personas. For Brynner, being seen as an ultra-masculine figure was crucial. He shaved his head for The King and I, creating a bold, distinctive look that enhanced his commanding presence. This bald-headed, confident image became his trademark, reinforcing the idea that he was a strong, powerful man, both on and off the screen. This public image worked in his favor. Brynner was seen as a man's man, someone who could play kings, warriors, cowboys, and pharaohs with ease. His on-screen intensity made audiences believe in his strength, dominance, and charisma. This carefully crafted persona left no room for rumors about his personal life, ensuring that his career remained secure. Even though Hollywood was full of LGBTQ+ figures, very few could openly express their identities. Stars like Rock Hudson, Tab Hunter, and others had to keep their personal lives secret to avoid scandal and career damage. Brynner was no different. He was part of a generation of actors who had to carefully manage their images, ensuring that their true selves never clashed with the roles they played on screen. Behind the tyrant, Brynner was a perfectionist who expected nothing less than excellence from everyone he worked with. He had a strong vision for his performances and often refused to compromise. While this dedication made him a remarkable actor, it also created tension on set. Many directors and co-stars found him controlling and difficult. He frequently argued with directors if he felt their vision did not match his own. He also had a habit of dominating rehearsals and stage direction, sometimes disregarding what others had to say. Brynner's need for control extended beyond just his performances. He often made demands about lighting, camera angles, and even how others should deliver their lines. Some actors admired his commitment, but others found him overbearing. Actor Frank Langella, who worked with Brynner, wrote about him in his memoir, Dropped Names: Famous Men and Women as I Knew Them. In the book, Langella described Brynner as a man obsessed with his own image, deeply insecure despite his public confidence. According to Langella, Brynner was arrogant and self-centered. He allegedly held racial prejudices and sometimes treated audiences with disdain. Langella recalled how Brynner would act polite in public, but had little patience for fans behind the scenes. One of the most shocking details in Langella's memoir was about Brynner's extreme desire to avoid interacting with the public. While performing in theater productions, Brynner allegedly had a private lift installed to avoid running into audience members after the show. This behavior reinforced the idea that he saw himself as superior to others, which alienated many people in the industry. Brynner's perfectionism didn't just affect directors and co-stars, it also impacted the crew members who worked under him. He was notorious for being merciless if he felt someone wasn't doing their job correctly. Many accounts describe Brynner as a tyrant on set, threatening to fire anyone who didn't meet his expectations. Whether it was a lighting technician, costume designer, or assistant, Brynner had no problem removing people from a project if he felt they were not up to his high standards. He was also unapologetic about his strict approach. Brynner openly admitted that he had no patience for mediocrity and believed that his success was due to his relentless discipline. In interviews, he often took pride in being ruthless, claiming that his approach was necessary to achieve greatness. However, this attitude didn't always earn him respect. Many colleagues and industry professionals saw him as cold, demanding, and difficult. Some even refused to work with him again after experiencing his controlling behavior firsthand. Rivalry with Steve McQueen. Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen's rivalry during The Magnificent Seven is one of Hollywood's most famous behind-the-scenes feuds. While both actors were incredibly talented, they had clashing personalities, different acting styles, and a constant struggle for dominance on set. Their tension created an unforgettable dynamic that made the film even more iconic. From the moment production began, Brynner and McQueen were at odds. Brynner, a seasoned star with a commanding presence, played Chris Adams, the leader of the group. McQueen, though not yet a household name, had a natural charisma that stole attention, and he wasn't afraid to use it to his advantage. One of the biggest sources of tension was Brynner's height, or rather his concern about it. McQueen stood slightly taller than him. Brynner, wanting to maintain his dominance as the lead, allegedly had a small mound of dirt built for himself in certain scenes to appear taller than McQueen. This irritated McQueen, who saw it as an unnecessary power move. McQueen, in turn, found his own way to steal focus from Brynner. During scenes where Brynner was delivering lines, McQueen would fidget with props, tipping his hat, twirling a gun, or adjusting his belt. These subtle movements drew the audience's eyes to McQueen, even when Brynner was the one speaking. It was a clever trick, but it infuriated Brynner, who saw it as a direct challenge to his authority. At one point, Brynner reportedly confronted McQueen about his tactics, warning him to stop trying to upstage him. McQueen, however, wasn't intimidated and continued to push back in his own way. Despite their tension, both men remained professional enough to finish the film, but their feud became legendary in Hollywood history. Despite their issues, Brynner eventually respected McQueen's success, and later in life, he gave him credit as a great actor. After McQueen was diagnosed with cancer, Brynner even reached out to make peace, showing that, despite their feud, there was still mutual admiration. The final curtain. In the early 1980s, Brynner was diagnosed with lung cancer that later spread to his throat. For decades, he had been a heavy smoker, a habit that he later deeply regretted. By the time the cancer was discovered, it was already in an advanced stage, but Brynner refused to let it define him. Despite his worsening condition, he continued working, appearing in his final Broadway performances of The King and I in 1985. Though he had to endure pain and exhaustion, his love for performing pushed him forward. Even as his voice weakened, his presence remained as commanding as ever. Brynner underwent treatment, but the cancer progressed rapidly. His doctors advised him to slow down, but he never wanted to be seen as weak. He faced his illness with strength and dignity, never losing the charisma that made him a star. Realizing that his years of smoking had caused his illness, Brynner became a strong advocate against smoking. Before his death, he recorded a powerful anti-smoking public service announcement. In the video, which aired after his passing, Brynner looked directly into the camera and said, "Now that I'm gone, I tell you, don't smoke. Whatever you do, just don't smoke." His message was simple but incredibly powerful. It struck a chord with audiences, as they saw a once powerful actor now weakened by the consequences of his choices. The PSA became one of the most famous anti-smoking messages ever recorded, making Brynner a lasting symbol of the dangers of tobacco. On October 10, 1985, Yul Brynner passed away at the age of 65 in New York City. His death was a great loss to the world of entertainment, but his legacy lived on through his work and his message. His performances in film and theater remain unforgettable, and his warning about smoking continues to save lives even today. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more updates on Hollywood's most fascinating figures.